Hey everybody, welcome to Indoor Gardening Basics for indoor food growing, soil versus hydro, lights, space, expectations, hosted by Indoor Garden Market. And if you're seeing this, you joined our indoor food growing program, welcome back. If you haven't done so already, we've got a free training code right there. Check that out. This is a free training program that will teach you how to grow food indoors year round, 12 months out of the year, up to 75 pounds of greens, herbs, and fruity plants in less space than a coffee table, less than grocery store prices. It's really exciting. It's easy to do. It's fun. It's cheap. I mean, there's 100 different reasons to do it. So I hope this gets you even closer to your goal of really growing a substantial amount of food for yourself and your family. Lots of great reasons to do this. So let's kick things off. Talk a little bit more about indoor gardening basics. So, indoor gardening sometimes might feel complicated. You might be exposed to a lot of different options out there. Maybe you popped over to Reddit, you did a Google search. Lights, nutrient systems, soil mixes, hydroponic kits, YouTube opinions, all these things are can be overwhelming at times. So tonight we're going to strip away those indoor gardening things back to what actually matters so you can make smart decisions without overbuying or burning out. You don't need perfection when you're starting to grow food indoors. You just need to understand some of the basics and get started. Like, that's the main thing. Find a system, find a light, just get going. Once you do that, you'll discover that it's far easier than you could ever imagine to grow greens, herbs, tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, pretty much anything you could ever expect to want to grow. So let's dive right in. Soil versus hydro. So let's talk about some of the difference here. Soil and hydroponic growing are not really competing against each other indoors. Most plants are going to grow really well in the indoor growing environment. That 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit temperature range grows great plants and lots of them in abundance. So you could really think of them as just two different tools that you can use in tandem even. Soil I like to use in self-watering pots for tomatoes, cucumbers, all dwarf varieties, peppers, anything that has a fruiting body and it requires a little bit more space. Keep in mind that if you have a self-watering pot, you can grow those dwarf-sized plants in 3-gallon size containers. More information on our website. If you scan the free training here, that will take you to our website where you can find out more information. So soil, it's really familiar. It's forgiving. It's flexible. If you've grown outdoors, you'll understand how to grow indoors with soil. It's great for people who want a natural feel, don't mind an occasional mess, and maybe not comfortable to jump straight over into hydroponics. Advantage for hydroponics is that it's cleaner, faster, it's more controlled. You can grow extreme amounts of greens and herbs, in particular with a vertical hydroponic system across a year. That 70 pounds that I mentioned previously, that's a good expectation for about the same size space as a coffee table, as long as you're growing vertically up in these different systems. So this is great for apartments, kitchens, anybody who wants less daily guesswork and just really wants to grow. I would say neither one is better, but one thing that you need to understand about indoor food growing is that it is simpler and easier to do. You don't have as many bug problems. You're not going to have extreme temperature swings. It's not too hot in the summer, too cold in the winter. It's always the same temperature. If you devote a little bit of your indoor growing space to indoor food growing, then it's really going to help you out. So there's lots of different things that can grow well, and it doesn't really matter what kind of system that you might want to use. But I would recommend starting with a simple variety pack, like this greens pack here on Seeds Now. It's got hundreds of seeds in it. The seeds are going to be planted out in little plugs, which we'll talk about in a later episode, or you could check it out in our YouTube channel. Those plugs allow you to really put exactly the right amount of seeds in that, pop it into a hydroponic or a soil system, and that plant's just going to grow. So failure rates are much, much lower. And this has a really great variety of different kinds of fast growing plants. If you plant a herb or a green inside a hydroponic system, you're usually going to be harvesting in 30 to 40 days. So if you can imagine just how much you can produce over the course of a full year, if you are constantly planting, taking things down, eating it, planting again, you can really get a lot of production. And it makes it really simple too. If you're sitting around at home, let's say you're watching your latest Netflix series or perhaps a movie, grab a couple of plugs, plant some seeds, pop them into your system. Why not? As you're preparing to eat your meal, walk over to your system, grab some greens, throw those into a salad, maybe put them on a sandwich, add them into the meal. Basil, for example, grows really well indoors. There's a million different reasons why this is so easy and so fun to do. So moving right along here, LED grow lights. So one thing to keep in mind when you're beginning this process, indoor growing succeeds or fails on light, but not in the way you may expect. You don't need big fancy industrial lights. You don't need to understand the watts or the spectrum charts. Most of what matters is consistent. So you want to have the lights on all the time. Brightness, either 100 watts for fruiting plants or 50 watts minimum for greens and herbs, and keep the lights close to the plants. As a seedling, they need to be really close, like about here. You can start to back them away as that plant is growing up. And then I would say minimum 12, 14 hours, if you can, 16 hours per day for most plants. The good thing about this is modern LED grow lights are really efficient. They're cool. They're designed for indoor spaces. They can work on a countertop in a built-in hydroponic system. So really efficient. And by efficient, I mean you're really not going to notice much at all in your power bill changing, but you will notice fresh greens that don't have chemicals on them and that are harvestable at any moment in time. So this solves a lot of issues for most families. You want to make sure that these LED grow lights are the right wattage, and you want to make sure that they're close to the plants as they're starting off. So we do have a nice type of light that we like. They're called Happy Leaf lights. Give me one second here, and I'm gonna find our QR code for that. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so scan this code right here. Happy Leaf lights. These are very high efficiency. These are capable of growing almost anything you can imagine: greens, fruiting plants, tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers. They only use 30 watts of energy. So they're extremely efficient and they grow very big, nice, tasty plants. I've used them for a while. Very, very nice. So make sure you've got that consistent light. Brightness is also consistent. And then you want to have that 14, say 12, somewhere between 12 and 16 hours. More time is better. Once they get beyond the seedling stage, I would max out at about 16 hours per day. So moving along here, how much space do you really need? I think this is a common misconception for most people. They overestimate how much space an indoor food garden would require. You don't need a room. You don't need a whole basement. You don't even really need an intentional spot in your house to do this. You can take a corner and convert that into a vertical growing system. This works in kitchens, shelving units, vertical systems. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this, and we highlight the different ways throughout our indoor food growing program. If you're just catching us on LinkedIn or maybe YouTube, you can follow us and you'd be able to learn along with us. So let me bring that QR code up here. So year-round, 12 months, 365 days a year, you can get free training for how to do this kind of growing. That's all available on our website. Lots of tips and tricks are built into that as well. So the question really is not how big is your home or how much space do you want to use for this. It's just how many plants do you want to fit into your life and how much food do you want to eat from your indoor food growing space. So you don't need a ton of space. If you have the equivalent of about the same size as a coffee table and you can go up 3 or 4 feet vertically over that, that's enough to grow either 2 to 3 side salads a week in the case of a small hydroponic box system, or a vertical system would allow you to grow a pound per week, enough for a family of 3 to 5. It really is almost unlimited. It flips the script completely on what is most expensive in the grocery store. You know, typically those are our fruiting plants, greens, herbs, that stuff. It comes from far away. Oftentimes it's extremely expensive. It's sprayed with chemicals. You don't really know where it came from. Now you can take total control over those things and you can do it at less than grocery store prices. So you don't need a ton of space, but you can get huge production. Basil, chives, parsley. I mean, so many different things can be grown. And so let me give you just A couple of examples of systems that work pretty well inside of the space that we just described. Small space that would give you approximately that 1 to 2 side salads per week is the Let Pot hydroponic garden system there. If you do the 12 plant system, that's actually a perfect size space. Plant some herbs in there, plant a little bit of greens. It's going to get you enough production to where you're eating it a few times a week. It's not going to kill grocery store for you, but it's definitely going to help. For to really get full production, and the Elfsis, which you see right here. Now that one has 3 different levels. It's going to be able to grow 40 plants at a time. You can sequence harvest through that system, and you will be consistently harvesting and eating. You will encounter a new problem though. This is that when you're using systems that are growing more than 30 plants at a time, you're going to get bored with what you're eating. You're going to want to have a steady supply of seedlings on the ready so you can pull out plants, clean your system, pop in new seedlings, and start growing. If you if you start your garden with seedlings, you will save 30 to 40 days before you get to harvest level production. So that's one reason why in our local community grower places, Northern Virginia area, Baltimore, we do have seedling bundles that are available for people to purchase. So you pick any one of the systems that we outline in our courses, and then you just pop those seedlings in and you're off to harvesting. That's all you got to do. It's very, very simple to do, and it's a great system. So let's set some realistic expectations though. As we're doing this, it's important. Indoor gardening is not instant, but it's definitely predictable. So the plants will grow fast. Do need some patience to get them up to the right size. Some are beginner friendly, and some are not worth starting with indoors. Potatoes, for example, is one of those kinds of plants. Probably wouldn't start indoors. You need a big light. You probably want to stick with soil. It's going to take up a bunch of space. We can stick with outdoors for those for right now until we get better lights and a little bit better systems. But what really makes sense for indoor growing is greens, herbs, and those fruiting plants, tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers. They grow really well in a dwarf size plant variety, and they're going to get you great results. So keep that in mind. So there's lots of different things you can grow. It doesn't take very long, but the key to remember here is if you can get seedlings in your local area and plant those inside of your systems, you're going to save yourself a ton of time and really get to harvest fast. So on average, planting from seed up to harvest in soil is going to take 45, 50 days on average. And in the summertime, you can't plant greens outside, too hot. In the wintertime, too cold. So you have such a limited amount of time to do this, but if you bring it indoors and you have a soil or a hydroponic system, completely flip all that around. Suddenly you grow those all the time. There's no limitations, and you can compress the time that it takes to actually grow those things if you're using seedlings to maybe 90% less time. So pop the seedling in, and then you're going to get up to harvest in about 7 days, 7 to 10 days. We should say, just to be fair, but it is incredibly productive. So moving right along here, a couple of starter setups just to kind of keep in mind. You want a reliable grow light. We mentioned the Happy Leaf grow lights. Those are great to start off with. You can do soil or hydroponics or both. It depends on what you're growing. I would say that if you're going to grow your tomato plants, for example, indoors, then I would absolutely recommend using something like a self-watering pot. Let Pot makes really nice twin self-watering pot packages. These are good because they have a reservoir in the bottom of them. You top off the reservoir with water and nutrients, and the plants are going to put roots down and pull up only the nutrients that they need and water that they need. You never have to water it. All you have to do is pick up that pot, and then you can see if you need some water in there. They also have connecting hoses to where you could connect it, and then it would be able to pull the water over in automatically. You would never have to worry about wondering if there was any water inside that system. So that's a great way to get started. I would definitely recommend soil in a self-watering pot, 3-gallon size for your definitely fruiting plants, tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, strawberries. I mean, almost anything you can imagine there. Now, if you're starting off with hydroponics, we did mention the Let Pot is a good one to start with, and the Elfsis. So all of those are great to get going. And keep in mind, you're really just starting off. Set your expectations to exactly what you want. If you want a couple of side salads, 10 to 12 plants growing at a time is okay for that. If you want to kill the grocery store, eat all of their margins, 30 plants or better, Elf's system is great for that. So you've got lots of different options. You are not limited anymore. For the first time in human history, we have lights that can grow food year round indoors in small spaces that anyone can afford. And we also have the sun. Cool thing. If you're growing outdoors, amazing. Add the indoor growing, really boost your production to the point where you're producing most of your food. And then as you're getting better at growing seedlings, as you get access to local seedling providers through our local plant provider program, community grower program, you can just get those seedlings, plant them outside. You get the best of both worlds. We're going to have a personal productivity food growing revolution coming because for the first time we can grow indoors and outdoors at scale. It's a very exciting future. So one thing to keep in mind, we talked a little bit about this, but in our local areas right now, Baltimore and Northern Virginia, Loudoun and Fairfax County, we do have seedling bundles that are coming available. February is going to be an exciting bunch of seedlings. We're going to have romaine lettuce, butterhead, red leaf, spinach, Russian kale, Swiss chard, arugula, Mizuna tatsui, all super easy to use. You can order one of the bundles right here, pre-order it. Keep in mind they go fast. There's lots of indoor food growers in the Northern Virginia area, Loudoun, Fairfax County, Virginia. If you don't have a community grower in the area yet, reach out on our website. Send an email to info@planter.com and put in a request for one. We might be able to find someone in your local area who would start this service up for you, so you don't have to wonder about where you're going to get your seedlings. Certainly, as we are in the colder times of the month. The nice thing about the seedling bundles, it comes with free nutrients. It comes with a digital course that's powered by Udemy, and you get a wonderful community to support you, along with these grow nights all through the year. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop comments into the down underneath the video here, and we would love to help you to get growing more food. That's really the goal here: empower you to grow indoors, outdoors, grow as much food as you possibly can, and we are going to have a great future if we all grow more. So thanks so much for joining us. Keep in mind, there really is no universal setup. The only one that fits your space and time and goals. You can ask questions anytime. You can reach out on our website, indoorgardenmarket.com. You can send an email, info@planter.com as well. Lots of different things. Next grow night coming up. I should definitely mention we do have inside of the training program right here. Scan that. We've got a month by month guide of all of everything you need to know to grow along with us. Where to get your supplies, what kinds of systems you could use, and you can grow along with us through these live streams. So when you sign up for the free training, you'll actually get PDF version of that guide, and you can come along, work along right through the whole process with us. So next grow night, we're going to focus on setting up your first indoor food garden. I'm going to go through a walkthrough, basics of that. So if you haven't done so already, you sign up for the free training here. Make sure you order your plugs, seeds, and supplies through the website, or maybe special order some of the upcoming February bundles of seedlings, so you've got those available if you live in the Northern Virginia or the Baltimore area. Really excited that you could join us, and we look forward to growing along with you. So don't be a stranger. Leave a comment. Maybe tell a friend who would like to grow food for themselves indoors year-round, and we will see you at the next live stream Planter Grow Night.